Hello, everybody. Welcome to the 5 o'clock Shadow. Today we are talking with Eunice from Bible X, doing the game for the game Gate Zero, which is over on they do have a GoFund, not GoFundMe, uh, Indiegogo. There
Indiegogo.
you go. Indiegogo for their game, and you can also get a free demo over on Steam, which is pretty good. So, hello, Eunice. How are you doing today?
I'm good. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. And hello, Aqua. We got somebody in the chat already, um, which is good. What brought about this game?
Yeah, the game is called Gate Zero. You can say it's a Bible-based exploration adventure game. And how it came about, we are actually located in Norway, although I live here in Ohio. And we're part of an organization, a non-profit organization called BCC Media, and we've been basically creating media content for children and youth for years. And back in 2020, the year everyone remembers,
Yeah.
we we were working on like a Bible study series, like an animation series, similar to Bible Project a little bit, about the letter to the Hebrews, kind of explaining the different parts of the temple. Some of that can be a little bit technical, a little bit hard to understand. So we're thinking, how do we make this relevant and understandable to young people? So what we did was we created a 3D model of the temple, um, of the second temple, and really the goal was to, you know, let it be kind of like a virtual tour where the young people could look at how it's like inside. And this was going to be shown at a big live event in Norway for, I think, about 5 to 8,000 young people. But of course, COVID hit, so that all was canceled. So we were left with this stuff we had produced, and we're like, well, we always wanted to make a video game, like probably a lot of you guys. But then we're sitting there with the resources, and we're like, this is what we're gonna do. So that's how this game was born. Obviously, there's been a lot of artwork behind the scenes. It's
Yeah.
2023 now, so it's been 3 years in the making. We honestly start from scratch. We built Jerusalem, ancient Jerusalem, out from scratch in Unreal Engine. Wrote the story, create gameplay, all that. So we're still working on it. The game's not done,
Yeah.
but that's kind of how that all was born.
About how far is the game done, would you say? Like, is it 10% done, 25, 50?
Hard to say with percentage. I would say we're kind of between the alpha beta stage. We're still working on some features we want to implement. At the same time, some other components are more developed,
Oh,
like
okay.
the world. Yeah, things like that. So it's kind of on an in between stage. What you'll play on Steam is really what we call a prototype. It's not necessarily like a vertical slice of the final game. So we're still working on it. Making good progress though.
Actually, the pastor that turned me on to the game is now in the chat, and he says, "I love the demo and am excited and waiting the full uh demo release." There's a heart in the middle of the one word. Oh, let me.
Beta release maybe.
Oh, he retracted his message for some reason. Okay,
Oh, good.
hopefully he will re-put that up. And hey, Jr. Jason says, "Are there any skeleton zombies or rites under the temple?" Somehow I don't think so.
So one of the things we're doing is to make it biblically and historically accurate. So that answers the question. That's a fun one though. No,
Yeah.
well, one thing we did too, we've created an, you can say, an alternative world, a dystopian world in the future of 2072, and that storyline runs concurrently with, going back in time to Jesus' time to explore that world. So that's kind of like you play as actually a teenager from the future traveling back in time to discover the stories of the Bible from the Gospels. So yeah, like I mean, we haven't thought to put aliens in the future world, but there are some antagonists. You just have to see.
Yeah. Well, which so right now, obviously, as you said, you're doing the one for Jesus, Jesus time. Is that like around his death, early life, mid career, or mid mid career, like mid of his thing
Hmm.
during the preaching, his mid. Yeah,
Yeah, during his
I think he's
ministry, his
what.
public ministry.
Yeah.
Our dream actually is to create all the stories from his birth to his death in 4 releases. So we're planning for release one to come out at the end of next year. So that would be like you can't say a quarter of his life, but kind of like a part of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then we'll continue developing that. Like, well, the goal is really to tell the whole story of Jesus throughout games. So that's the plan. Yeah, get questions all the time. Are you making David and Goliath? Whatever. We're like, no, we're sticking to this, sticking to the Gospels. That's what we've decided.
Okay, so after you get the full life of Jesus, you're not going to go on to do any other biblical stories or whatever.
Possibly. I mean, it's pretty early to tell right now, but I think that, if we get all those done, like maybe we'll move on and tell the story of Paul. We don't know. But that's like far in the future, so we
Yeah,
can't say right now. We don't
yeah,
know.
yeah. It depends on the
Yeah.
success of this one and how much, if you make any money at it, how profitable it might be, or
Right, right.
although you get
We're
non-profit, but
yeah, the
whatever.
viability of everything.
Yeah.
Yep, for sure.
Okay, Luke has put a few things in the chat. He says, "I love the demo of Gate Zero. I'm excited for the full game." And he says, this is to me. He, like I said, he's one of the pastors at my church. He said, I'm waiting for the comic hero Snowdrift to have the nemesis Chauvel. Ha ha ha. So he's teasing me a little. He says I rewrote it, and then he says, when is the potential release date for, I guess, the first uh, game for Gate Zero?
So I think we're planning right now for the end of next year. I don't have a month or a date yet. We're still working as hard as we can, but hopefully it'll be a nice Christmas present for everybody.
Yeah, for 2024.
Correct.
Okay. Okay, now I'm not sure whether I should ask this one. I don't think it's too bad. He says in 2072. Is that how far? When is the future part of it taking place? Did you say? Was it 2072 or?
Correct. Correct.
Oh, he says, is the world dominated by the Communist Party of China, with Walt Disney Company ruling America as the CCP puppet? He says, I love dystopias.
It's not going to be that specific. We're not going to name any countries or brands, but it's dystopic for sure. And I mean, it's kind of a world where religion has pretty much died off, especially Christianity. That's kind of the world we have painted with that, and a reason why the player character, has to go back and discover it for himself firsthand and see actually what went down. You can say straight from the horse's mouth and more. Being there. That's kind of the world we have painted with that. Yeah, up to imagination what all that entails. No, we've written a good backstory too, so that will come forth in the game.
Yeah, yeah. Like I've played the game myself. I like the backstory. I must admit, I wish it would have went quicker so I could get into the gameplay faster. But
You can run in there.
yeah, yeah. But yeah, one of the first things I did was explore the whole lab area, check out, see if there's any little secrets yet. But there doesn't seem to be any little secrets. Not too much interactive stuff, but it's still neat to run around the lab and all that.
Mm-hmm.
It's my first time interviewing somebody about a video game, so I'm trying to think of questions, of course. Um, so we've covered about possible releases, and this is going to release hopefully 2024. It's available on Steam. Uh, he says if you need dystopia ideas, email says Jr. Uh, well, I'm sure they've got a whole big team. Well, there's a question: how big is the team on this?
Yeah, we're like about 10 people working full time across various countries and continents. Some work remote, obviously, like me. There's a main office in Norway, and then we have like freelancers when we need them, kind of thing. But the core team's about 10 people. So we're indie. We're not like this huge triple A team,
Yeah.
but we have a big dream.
Yes, yes. I understand Big Dream. Luke asks, why did you decide to name the time machine Elijah?
Okay, so that was named Elijah in the really early stages, based on Elijah in the Bible. But we have changed the name of the time machine, as far as I know anyway, if things don't change again, to Gate Zero. So basically it's if you look at the logo of a game, I guess I have the t-shirt.
Yeah.
It's kind of like
Yeah.
the negative part is like a key, and there's a pearl in the middle, and it's kind of like a gate. And the thought also is that I could explain why the time machine is called Gate Zero now. There were like 8 gates leading into Jerusalem, and we thought like, this gate's like that zero gate, that like secret gate that leads into ancient Jerusalem in that time. And then the number before 1 is 0, so it's kind of the thought behind that. And it also has a little bit of a hidden meaning. We thought also like, for Max, a player character, or for us that are playing a game, you kind of like thought is that you like you go back to zero, to the source, to learn about what happened, ground zero, you can say in that way. Yeah, so that's kind of the thought behind that.
Luke asks,
You guys have good questions.
Luke asks, are you going to be able to converse with any character or only the ones included with the side missions?
It's hard for me to say yet because I don't know exactly how many, interactable characters we're gonna put into the world. There'll definitely be a bunch of NPCs. I don't know like if all of them are gonna be interactable, but yeah, it's like on the Steam demo right now, you can interact with some of the shopkeepers, for example. And I think that we're gonna put on more random interactions. It is gonna be, in a way, semi-open world where you can run around and find different side missions, talk to different random people. Yeah.
Yeah, and you answered a question that I thought of, which was why the name Gate Zero, which is
Yeah.
good. And if anybody out there has any more questions, feel free to ask. And I'm sure we'll get some. Let's. I'm gonna go over to the Indiegogo and go through some of the perks and all
I
that.
can talk a little bit about how the game is played. I don't think we've talked too much about that yet.
Okay.
Yeah, like we are traveling from the future to the past. What kind of a game it is? It's like a story-rich adventure game where story drives the game. At the same time, you have these open world elements. There'll be stealth. You'll be faced with trying to get around the Romans. Maybe you'll get in trouble with the Pharisees as well. There'll be that aspect of things, and you'll be gathering, crafting, a little bit like Zelda in that way. Gathering in the open world that you have. There'll be riddles, puzzles, a little bit of light puzzling here and there. And we do have this pretty unique feature, and we developed it really with youth groups or like groups in mind, where you're playing that main game on the PC or hopefully also on consoles, and then you can connect using just like a code on screen to your mobile phone. You guys might have tried it if those who've played the Steam demo, but basically like a mobile phone could connect to the main game and help out with different tasks, and it's all in real time. So like for example, yeah, like in the Steam demo we have like a catching the lambs game. So if you move the lambs on your phone, they'll move in the game world. So that's kind of the whole thought, is that we want everyone to be able to experience this game and obviously the stories in the world. So someone who maybe not necessarily is interested in gaming or has a gaming device can still participate, and you can even do it online, like on stream. So like you can invite your viewers to log on their phones using the code. It's a little bit like Jackbox, and then yeah, like participate in that way too. So that's the thought, and we've tested that out a lot, and we're still working on that to kind of make that interactive and awesome for people to play.
JR asks, will Joseph of Arimatheus or Mary Magdalene be in the game, or I guess, or any other major person like that that you might have heard of in the Bible?
You know what? They're pretty central characters to Jesus' story, so I can't say yet because I don't know for sure, but we'll see.
And Luke says, I like the shepherd boy you have to help out. With
Yeah.
the sheep game. And
Mhm.
there is a question too. I thought of with it being on Steam and all that, and trying to maybe, like you said, have youth groups. Is there any thought in maybe getting this multiple people thing to do it? Run together to do missions or whatever.
Like multiplayer.
Yeah.
We definitely have considered it. That would just make the scope of the game very large for our team. So we just had to, decide on something and go for it. And that's just, it's gonna be, you can say single player with that co op feature. It won't be multiplayer, maybe later down the road, but not right now.
Uh,
That's not,
yeah.
yeah, what we're
I
developing
definitely
right now.
I definitely understand with you. Like you said, your team is 10 people, so right now
Mm
developing a single player version is probably a lot of work.
hmm. Mm
Um,
hmm. And a lot of those big games similar to this are also, you can say, single player, and then later they release like this big multiplayer thing online, so it could be a possibility, but right now we're focusing, because yeah, right now we're focusing on the single player.
yeah. Lucas, is this only going to be on PC, or are you planning Xbox version, PlayStation, Wii,
Mm-hmm.
or I should say Nintendo Switch? You know, are
It's
you
the biggest
planning on
question
any?
I get every day.
Are you plan?
Mm-hmm.
I guess, are you planning any other platforms than PC?
Yeah, so we have decided on Steam PC. And if like you're on our Indiegogo page now, you can see that actually we do really want to port to Xbox and PlayStation 5, and Xbox Series X and S. We're still working towards that. We need more funding to be able to do that. So we're like currently actively fundraising to be able to do that because we know that a lot of people do own consoles and not PCs that would be interested in this. So yeah, we're at that stage where we have considered it. If you go to BibleX Game on YouTube, you can even see that we have started the process, like with a third party company, to get that whole game ported. Game porting is very complicated. But yeah, it's
Uh,
still in the works. Hard for me to say when
yeah,
the
yeah,
console version will come out, but there's a lot going on in the background to
yeah. So,
get our funding in place and all that. And people are welcome to support us too on Indiegogo. Crowdfunding, help us get closer to the goal.
where is the chat? Okay, so let's see. Luke says, "I like having to throw the stones at the wolves." Yeah, I thought that was pretty good. JR says, "Who will you play as? A generic character or a biblical character, or do you build a character like Dungeons and Dragons?"
Mhm. So you play as a teenager. His name is Max from the future dystopian world of 2072. You can customize him a little bit, his clothing and things like that. But basically, it's a fictional character from the future traveling back in time to meet real people who existed of the Bible.
So basically, you're playing as character in the game, but you might be able to get to design his clothing a little bit.
Yep.
Okay, so now this is showing in euros for everybody. For I couldn't get it over to American or Canadian funds to show what it is, but you guys have reached your goal already, which is really good. Uh, And of course, the tagline is travel back in time to explore ancient Israel, interact with gospel stories, and discover Jesus' words.
Mm-hmm. Are you on the Kickstarter or the Indiegogo?
The Indiegogo.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so we started out on Kickstarter and then we moved to Indiegogo. We basically on Kickstarter managed to fund our base game. Like I said, we want to do more. We want to port to consoles. We want to make the world even more alive. That's the reason why we're still continuing fundraising. Anyone who is in the gaming world knows that the amount we've fundraised on Kickstarter is not enough to make this full-on game that we want to do. But we're working hard as we can on all fronts, in the development side, in the fundraising side, because this is a game that we think that the world needs, and lots of people have told us that as well. So we're not gonna give up.
Yeah, and that's good. Aqua says, I just watched the Steam trailer. The game looks really good. Yeah.
Thank you.
So the first we have is for 35 euros, Gatebacker Zero. What do you get with that exactly?
So you get the base game and you get exclusive wallpaper and backer updates. Was there one more thing on there? Now I don't remember.
I think it says Discord role.
Discord role, yeah, correct. So that's the base game. And then there are other tiers that you can select as well,
now,
if you're interested.
Do you know how much that's gonna put into, say, American funds? Most of my viewers are American. Unfortunately, I tried to switch it over to American funds, but it's saying 35 euros. So,
Yeah, it's very close to American funds. I think it's like $38 or something like that. Yeah. Or less. Very close anyway.
JR says, how do you portray Jesus' Jewishness? Does he keep Jewish law, follow Jewish dietary restrictions? Can you work on Saturdays, or do you have to wait for the day to pass?
I think our goal is to portray Jesus as the Bible portrays him. So he was a Jew, obviously, but he also, for example, his disciples ate from the wheat or cornfields on Sabbath, and he things like that. And I think our goal really is to portray the Jesus that we read in the Bible.
Cool. Now this is just my thought, and I thought it a little bit ago. Are you, as you know, I'm not sure whether you've seen The Chosen at all.
Mm-hmm.
Are you gonna use?
I love The Chosen.
Yeah, I do too. Are you gonna maybe try and use that to help you define any of the characters in the game, like any of the biblical characters?
I don't know if our script writers are doing that. I know that we're inspired by The Chosen in the way they handle like scripts and how they, make the people we read about in the Bible come alive, and they have personalities and things like that. I don't know if they're gonna, you can say, copy those portrayals of the disciples, for example, from The Chosen in the game. I don't know if they will do that.
Yeah.
But
I'm pretty sure they couldn't copy one for one, but although some things, like, say, for Peter, his temper, we know that he had a temper no matter what. So, but
I think
you probably can't do some of the backstories that they've created, but I wasn't sure whether you guys might have been inspired a little bit by it.
Mm-hmm. We are inspired by the way Chosen have handled it, for sure. That's one thing I was gonna say. Yeah, so we are gonna, for example, Jesus didn't say things out of context, like the parables and the things he spoke about. Was spoken in a time that was understood by the people that lived in that time, and we really want to do it so that you understand why he's saying that, like the way he did. For example, he gives he says like, take my yoke, like for a young person today, like what is a yoke, like things like that
Yeah.
we want to really put you in that world so you get it when he says those words, why he said it and what it means. And at the same time, because I wouldn't say it's old fashioned, but it's definitely in a different time where we're living right now, and at the same time bring it back to what that Jesus' words are just as relevant today as it was back then, and what that means for us personally.
Yeah, Luke says most of the miracles were recorded on the Sabbath. I didn't notice that. But I'm not saying it's not true. And he says, have you reached, or I guess maybe it's more, have you thought of reaching out to Dallas Jenkins to maybe collaborate on the game?
We have definitely tried. Word has it that he doesn't like gaming. I don't know if that's true or not, but a lot of people have suggested that. And we've tried the doors we have that are, slightly open. But if anyone has connections with him, let us know, because I think it'll be fun and cool for us to meet, because we're doing things that are very similar.
Yeah.
Yeah, like we haven't said this ourselves, but people are like, we hope that you're the chosen for video games, in that way that it can bring people closer to Jesus and closer to the stories and what that means for them. So yeah, we're doing the best we can. We don't know of any other video game right now doing something like that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, the last time I think we had any major Christian video games was back for like the NES, Super NES, and Genesis, when they did there was spiritual warfare. There was stuff for, I think, Moses. There was a couple, and I think there was one for Joshua. I'm not sure whether you would have even heard of them. They're so old.
I've heard of them, but I've never played them.
They weren't too bad for the time. But they are, it's older stuff, and we haven't really had anything on any of the systems up to date, really, any good video games. So it's good seeing a new video game out, a Christian one. So the next up is the collector's bundle that you guys have. So the game, you get the game here, name in the credits, Discord role, exclusive wallpaper. So what's the wallpaper? Well,
it's like a desktop and a mobile wallpaper,
yeah.
like digital.
Bible.
We actually already gave that out to our Kickstarter backers.
Oh, cool.
I have it on my computer right here.
Cool. The Bible study booklet. So you've created a Bible study, I guess, to go along with what you've done in here, or what you're doing in here.
That's what we're planning to do.
Oh, okay. So you haven't created it yet. And then you've got the Gate Zero art book. So I guess the release that everybody will get will just be sort of digital. They won't get a physical DVD or whatever sent to them, or Blu-ray or whatever of the game on.
No.
Because not too many computers actually have DVD drives anymore. And then,
no, everything's digital, yeah.
And then, of course, the Gate Zero original soundtrack. Oh, and I guess there's something. Are you? I guess. Well, obviously, it says original soundtrack. Are you getting people to make the music, or are you, buying or renting, whatever, however you want to say it, some music that's already out there, or are you just using maybe royalty free?
All our music is made. We have two awesome composers, one in the US on the West Coast and one in the Netherlands, and they've come quite a long way already. All the music that you hear in the Steam prototype is made by them, basically. They've composed those, and yeah, they're working on the original soundtrack as well. And yeah, we record the singers and everything. If you're on social media, you can look up at BibleX Game. We've put out a little snippets of the music there. I think you'll see that on Instagram or YouTube Shorts as well.
Yeah.
Actually, on YouTube, we have an episode of Devlog just on music, so you can look that up. our two composers talk on there and kind of explain their creative process. So that was a really fun one for me to watch. Actually, I really enjoyed that devlog.
Yeah, and their YouTube channel is linked in the description. There's a description, a link for the YouTube channel in the description, and of course for the Indiegogo, for their Twitter. I think for your Facebook as well. I did a whole bunch of the different social media.
Thank you.
Um, JR says, does the game assume predestination or free will?
Well, God gave us a free will. So that's a tough one. That's a tough one. It's hard for me to answer that without knowing the background behind that question.
Yeah. And hello, Captain. Okay, so up next is the Time Machine Crew. All items, you get all items in the collector's bundle, and a 72-hour early release for the game. Ooh, so you get to start playing early. Oh, there's a question. I haven't went back into it. In the demo, do you get to save the progress where you made in the demo? Like if I go back and play it, do I have to start back at the beginning and all that for the demo? I know I'll probably have to start back at the beginning once the game is released, but I'm just more mean in the demo itself, or wherever you get to for when you know.
Yeah, like on Steam right now, the prototype that we have, I think there are just 2 safe spots. So if you're running around in Jerusalem and you log out and come back in, you'll keep your inventory and your money. But as far as quest steps go, you go back to the start. Obviously, like I said, it's a prototype. We're working on it. I would say that version out there is kind of like an alpha, between an alpha and beta kind of version. So we're still working on it. That's not to say that there will be so few safe spots in the final game.
Yeah, obviously in the final game you'll probably have a lot more save spots, but sometimes in demos they don't give you any saves whatsoever. So I just figured I'd ask for the people out there. Like I said, I played it once, and unfortunately my life's been a little bit up in arms for the last month and a week or so, because my mom died at the end of August. So I've had.
I'm sorry.
Oh, thank you. I was living with her, so I have to pack up the apartment and move. So because I can't afford the apartment, but that's a totally different thing. Otherwise, I probably would have got back into the game by now. Okay, so anyways, you unlock the donkey mount from the start. Oh, so you can get a mount. Is there more than just a donkey, or is there horses? How many different mounts are there?
There are a few different mounts. I can't say what all they are yet, but there are a few different mounts. I think back then, being on a donkey was the most common for normal, common people.
Luke says, I like the history and the attention to detail in the game. I haven't finished the grandma's riddle, though. And
it's a bit of a tough one. There are a few streams out there that solve it if you need a few tips, but yeah.
And your email to Hector. What is your email to Hector?
So if you're in if you've played the prototype on Steam, you'll see that he has a computer in his headquarters, and you can, if you back on that tier, you can write an email that shows up on that PC, so you can read it. And we've gotten such interesting things from people. It's actually been awesome. Oh man, I've had such a good laugh. People are so creative, you know. Anything from fellow time traveler writing to Hector to a so-called ad from 2072. Just all kinds of cool stuff, honestly. So yeah, so as a backer, you can send one in if you back for that tier. Or higher, I think.
And Hector is, what character is he again?
Yeah, so Hector is your cousin cousin to the player character in the game, Hector and Max. They're both from the future, and Hector is the one that has created a time machine that you travel back in time to. So you guys work closely together. When you're in the historical world, he talks to you.
Oh, and there's something that I just thought of. I knew it. I thought of it earlier, but with the circle thing, almost for the time machine, which is the symbol that you guys use for the game. Was
Mhm.
Stargate any sort of the show Stargate any sort of thought on the creation of the look for the time machine?
I don't think so, but I could be wrong. Like, are you thinking the logo or the actual time machine?
Well, I think the logo itself sort of is almost the complete circle, right? You know, and
Mm-hmm.
have you watched Stargate before? The show Stargate.
No, not
Well,
me.
okay. Well, they basically have a circle that it got some stuff on the outside goes around to create a portal from one place to another in the galaxy, you know. And there's been spots where they time traveled with it, but so I was thinking just maybe it might have been somebody might have used that idea of the circle from that, but you know, not that a circle's
Yeah.
not that a circle's copyright or anything, it's fair enough. It's a circle. Circles are used in everyday life. Uh,
I think we just like yeah we just iterated and iterated until we had something
yeah,
logo like that was probably like 2 months worth of working it out.
yeah. Because you said the logo is based on what the time machine looks like, right?
No, but it's kind of like you can see the negative space is kind of like a keyhole,
Yeah, yeah.
and gate zero is like the name of the time machine, and in a way the pearl lies in that hole, if you can say that. So it's kind of like the time machine that you go through. But yeah,
Luke asks.
anyways.
Luke asks at the end of the finished game, will Max return back to 2072, or will he end with him still in 33 AD?
That is very hard for me to say right now because that's like at the end of the game. You can't say.
JR says, when Max returns to 2072, will the rapture begin if you win the game?
Don't know.
And of course, the last thing you get on the Time Machine Crew one is your name on Hector's Time Machine, which is cool.
Mhm.
So a bunch of names graffitied onto it, or just regular written on it, or
You'll have to see.
okay. Time travel package or traveler. All items in the time machine. Beta access. Um, so that would be what where you said you're between beta and alpha access right now, or
Kind of. Yeah. Mhm.
so that would mean some people, anybody's getting this one, they would have a little bit more access right now, or than what than people that say are downloading the demo on Steam get, or am I interpreting that wrong?
Yeah, for sure. Like the beta access is basically the game early, and what's on Steam right now is not even a demo. It's like a prototype of some of our features of the game that we just put out for people to test out and get feedback on.
Okay, so the beta access people, if somebody backed at that, they would be have access a bit better access to more what's in the game already, right? If I'm correct.
And early.
Early. Okay, and exclusive mount color. Also, you can change the color of your donkey. Can you make it
Mhm.
wild colored, or like can you make a pink donkey, or can you just stick to colors of real donkeys?
You'll have to see.
And of course, then there's exclusive character skins. Luke says, if you need a game tester, let me know.
Join our Discord.
Yeah.
We've got a bunch of people. We put out calls there if we need testers.
And that's for 129 euros, which is probably what, about 150 American? Or is that?
Yeah, I think a bit somewhere like maybe 140, 35. Can't say, but very close.
Yeah.
Euros and American dollars are pretty close.
Yeah. If somebody wants to check this out on Indiegogo for it and maybe find out the American prices, they can put them in the chat. And then investor at 350 euros. Gate 0 game release 1. 10. You get
10 copies.
10 versions of the digital copy, so $350. Do you get everything in the previous stuff, or just 10 copies of the game?
10 copies of game, whatever's written there, I can't remember.
Yeah,
I think you get like the Bible study booklet and the art book and that kind of thing too.
Oh yeah, it says all. I think it says all that in the actual description. I was just trying to read the included items. Got it. And then up next is enter through the gate. Yeah, you get that's 850 euros. All items in the ultimate time travel. Picture of yourself in the HQ. Ooh, that sounds nice. A VIP luxury camel mount. Ooh, cool. And a camel would be faster than a donkey to get around. Oh, so would that mean that you're going outside of, say, Jerusalem, like way outside? Like, how far is this open world? Is this just right around Jerusalem within a certain number of miles, or does will it expound out to other cities in Israel?
Well, right now we're working on creating Capernaum, and to be able to tell the stories of Jesus and where he's been. We're also planning to develop Nazareth, for example, and a few different areas like that. Jerusalem actually doesn't come into play till later when Jesus, has a bit of a more public ministry. So yeah, there'll be definitely a few locations. We're working on that.
Wow. Jair says, does Satan make any visual appearances in the game?
Nope. He doesn't now. No, but yeah, no, he doesn't. There is that one story though when Jesus gets tempted.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Exclusive golden robe for Max. I don't think so, JR. Like I told you, sometimes my chat can get a little wacky with their questions. And his latest question, JR's latest question is, can you walk on water if you become a disciple? Well, I don't think you're actually you're becoming a disciple, but you're not. I think in the game, you're learning about Christ. And probably maybe at the end you might be...
Unless, yeah. Maybe if there's a bug in the game.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
Luke says, will you have to travel on the donkey between towns, or will there be an automatic way to travel between towns, such as in other games as Knights of the Old Republic, Fallout, Skyrim? Will there be fast travel, basically, or do you have to walk or travel?
Most likely. Yeah, that's most likely going to be fast travel, yeah. Because we actually created this game world, at least Jerusalem 1-for-1. So what you see is really how big it actually was. And it's massive.
Yeah. Let's see. Then we got Zoom meeting with GZ Dev. Who is GC Dev?
Gate Zero Dev.
Oh, Gate
Indiegogo didn't let
Zero.
us. It has a character limit, so we can like write out everything. So that's just what it ended up being.
Oh, okay. Zoom meeting with a Gate Zero developer.
Hmm.
Cool. And shout out on our dev- developer
Devlog.
blog, developer
Yeah.
blog. Cool, cool. And unfortunately, I think this last one is all taken. There was only two of them. The game designer, and I can't even tell
Hmm.
what that was. But it was or what you got for it. Anyways, it was €1,500.
Hmm.
And yeah,
Two
this.
very generous people about that. Just actually this past week.
Oh wow. Yeah, because I didn't think it
Hmm.
was taken last time I looked at this. A couple.
Hmm.
Well, it's been a couple weeks before since I've been on the site. So yeah, you know, I might. Although I can't really afford it, I might end up getting in on the Time Machine Crew one if I can figure out how much it is Canadian. It's probably like $100 at
Yeah.
least because
Yeah. Canadian. Yeah. Canadian will be more than US dollars. Yeah, that's right.
Uh, okay, let's see. Luke says, "Will you be able to interact with Peter as he betrays Christ, or yell at Caiaphas when he puts Jesus on trial?"
Also, very specific details that are hard to say right now.
Yeah. Uh, JR says a walkable Jerusalem would be awesome. Does the Holy Grail appear in the game?
It does. You must have played the game if you know that.
Luke says 122.70 Canadian. He did a conversion, obviously. So it wouldn't. It'd probably be 122 or 123 Canadian, because that would be neat. Have my name on the time machine, and well, I could do a little bit of promotion if that Hector one. Put about my comics on there. Hey Hector, check out this.
Yeah. Like, imagine what it would be in 2072. That would be fun.
Yeah, it's a great way. As long as it's decent. Obviously, you can't have any indecent messages on it being a Christian game.
It's all
Unfortunately,
filtered by us, so.
yeah, I'm just saying there's idiots out there that would buy it just to try and do that. Obviously, I'm not one of them, but yeah, it's a great way. That way is a great if you got something that's decent to promote. It's a great way to have yourself promoted in the game for other people to see. He says you should put Canadian Shield or Snowdrift instead of Ricky. Oh, I wouldn't be putting Ricky, that's for sure. I'd probably put Rick. But he said, and that's on the time machine itself. He's talking about, I believe. So, but yeah, this looks like a great project, and I definitely want to invest at some point. And this is obviously going to be open for some time. And so this is on, of course, here. And you were saying it's also on Kickstarter as well.
The Kickstarter has ended, so this is the place to go
Oh,
to
okay.
Indiegogo.
Another platform that you might look checking out. I think they're doing more than just comic, but Fund My Comic. It's I won't
Oh.
say it's a Christian site, but the guy that runs it is Christian. He developed the site because of a lot of the shadow banning of books and stuff like that, comics on Indiegogo and all that that's been being done. So
Mm.
it's a pretty good site. It's only like 6 months old or whatever. So you can if you it might be another crowd that you can get backers from or whatever. or get people to know about you guys from as well.
Cool. I'll check it out.
Um, Luke says, "How much do you think the final game will be when the game is finished?"
Yeah, I can't say right now. Cause that's yeah. TBD.
To be announced, to be determined.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yep.
what Luke says. Sorry. Jr. says, "Are there any lepers in the game?" Like
TBD.
TB2. Well, Jesus did heal some lepers, so like you know, it's
He
probably a good chance.
did.
So
Probably many.
there's probably a good chance that you will see a couple
Mm-hmm.
lepers. Like if you get to see the various things of Jesus. There we are, folks. We should be back being seen now. So any final questions, anybody? And uh, um, anything else you want to say or think other stuff people should know about the game or anything? I can't think of any more questions myself.
Yeah, no, I think it's yeah, like it'll be help if you guys can wish list our game on Steam because that helps us out and spread the word. I think that Rick already linked all the our socials on there, so you're welcome to follow that.
Yeah.
Thanks
Uh,
for
yeah.
thanks for joining us.
Yes. Thanks for. Peter says, "Do you have the correct date of birth for Jesus? Because the last Pope confirmed it ain't December."
It's not really something anyone really knows.
Yeah, yeah, and I don't think you guys. You're not so much dealing with the birth of Christ. You're dealing with his ministry, the beginning of his ministry, and on. So
Mm-hmm.
there's definitely not a date that started, and though we only know a basic date of his death, which would have been Passover back in about 33 AD, maybe even earlier, because we do know the calendar is off as well. So
Mm-hmm.
that's JR says the game sounds fun, even for pagans like me.
Welcome
Uh,
to play it.
Luke says, how big do you expect the game to be? I guess he means in megabyte size or whatever.
Yeah, that's definitely something that we can't say right now. Not until the game is completed. I think the demo is like 8 GB. I can't remember. Something like that.
JR says, I heard it's in spring or something based on when flocks were away. Okay. I guess that's about the birth. Um, so guess with that, we will say thank you for coming on and doing the interview. I hope you think it was a good interview.
It was fun.
Peter says King Herod, correct. King Herod is recorded as dying in 3 BC, so obviously it can't be right. Yeah. So again, thanks everybody for stopping by, and hopefully I'll be doing a stream in the next day or two. I don't know when my next stream is going to be. And we will see you all later. And Luke just got one in. Oh, that's to JR. So, um, JR can read it. So again, we'll catch you all later. Bye for now, everyone. God bless. Love y'all. Have a great day. Just